Go ahead and call to order our budget committee hearings, and we're going to hear from the county clerk first. Mr. Knowles, the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. We're asking for a 0.40% increase or $10,000. Well, $10,646. No additional staff requests. Our staff budget covers anticipated benefits and the present salaries. We remitted over $2.63 million in excess fees last year. We'll work hard to do the same, but the tariff situation from Washington is affecting some of our business, especially the big fleet orders. We had one scheduled, and we learned yesterday that the company that was going to buy some units, it fell through because of the tariff thing. Our budget includes 7 vacant positions, which includes part-time for any quick needs that we have or replacements, and also at the proper time to digitize some old commission meeting audio cassettes for faster research and posterity. I want to say that I'm blessed to have a dedicated staff of some 55 deputy clerks who work diligently every day. We have probably the most trafficked office in local government, in both city and county. And a few statistics I'd like to leave with you. Last year, we had 497,000 title and tag transactions. That wasn't all vehicles. It created some title only and things, but about 320,000 vehicles were titled and registered. We processed more than 161,000 of this number from the internet, mail, and we installed a few months ago a kiosk in the Hickson Food City that gave us space at no cost. And so we're continuing to look at the progress of that and see if it justifies maybe putting one in another place. We licensed more than 17,000 businesses, 3,000 marriages. We received 1,465 notary applications, and we processed over 10,000 driver's license transactions. And of course, y'all know what traffic we had with the Real ID. And I might add that a driver's license is really not a function of the county clerk's office, but I signed a contract with the Department of Safety to do that, and we earned some fees from that. And I like to run it like a business down there as much as we can to make money. And several years ago, I had the idea to contract with Chattanooga to issue their city sticker primarily as a help to the motors that were coming in dealing with, and I think it helped the city tremendously. Last year, we issued 81,400, and that amounted to over $400,000 that we collected for the city of Chattanooga. And of course, we, as you all well know, keep the minutes and the records and try to do a good job for the commission. So that's about all I have notes on.
Excellent. Mr. Knowles, do we have a light yet? Commissioner Mackey, sir.
I just wanted to make note that, you know, county government has been blessed with some outstanding leadership. And in the same way that Reuben Taylor had done a good job manning that legal department, this man has done an outstanding job of manning that office. And so, job well done.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Don't exclude District 4 leadership there, sir. Another light? Or is it me? Chairman?
I was looking at the budget here, and I'm looking, I guess, at the far right, the change from adopted from prior year. The, what is, if I get my bearings right here, postage, freight, and other transactions, is that correct?
I didn't get that, sir. What was the question?
It's the travel, the postage, freight, and other is a $55,000 change increase from last year?
Yeah.
Is that-
Well,
What's causing it?
the postage rates have gone up, but we just were successful in getting our association through the legislature this year to get an increase in the amount we charge for the mail going out. Most of that money comes back into you.
The kiosk that you put at the Food City in Hickson, how's it work? How's it performing?
It's not doing as well as I had expected, but it's serving the purpose.
Okay.
It saves some people from coming into town that like to do that. Of course, the internet that we're the first county to start way back there. You got services at your fingertips from home.
Right.
Of course, we do have a lot of problems with mail delivery. A lot of the mail that we send out, people don't get it. And I don't know what we can do about it. We complain to the post office. But we have a considerable number of those that call us and tell us or email me to tell me they didn't get their mail.
I just want to appreciate, because that, to me, putting that kiosk in is you're offering better service
Yes,
for the general public.
right.
They have different-
Anybody
different
can use it that's in that area or in that store. And I would like to see one go to Ottawa if we can someday. We've got the money to do it under tech fees that are earmarked to us from the legislature.
Yeah,
Putting that one out there didn't cost the county anything.
I'd like to see the media get a hold of that and show the convenience that it's actually saving people time.
Yeah.
For those
Well,
renewals.
We've tried to do that. When I first came here, everything was done from the courthouse primarily. And I've seen them out the door, down the sidewalk. But we started the mail service and got the branch, the commission approved the branch about 25 years ago. And so we made some progress in helping the public. And I think that's what public service is all about, helping those that need our services.
You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Mr. Knowles, the increase in the postage, that doesn't have anything to do with the talk I've heard about doing away with internal mail service, does it?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good, sir. Very good. All right, see no other lights. I did have a question for clarification. Mr. Knowles, just, I love to look at budget line items that are actually negative when we're talking about the differences. So thank you very much for a well-run office. But just to correct if I'm wrong, I'm seeing that salaries have gone up. I'm expecting those were increases or those were raises because you said it was no new staff.
They've merit increases, the promotions, and a lot of people, we do most of our recruiting and hiring through an employment agency. They do the testing for us and everything. And they come in at a very low rate. And then we have to, as we get them trained, we don't want to lose them.
Well, but to the point though, you were able to do that to reward good work in your office and still come in less. So did you increase some banking fees and have some other opportunity to generate revenue in your office to help offset those costs?
Well, we assumed some of I think it was the credit card charges that we started collecting.
For what specifically on the credit card charges?
Anyone that comes in.
Oh, we hadn't been adding that in the past. We've been eating. Got it. Okay. So that makes sense. And so that has helped
Yes.
by collecting that has helped offset and help reward the employees in your office for the work that they
Yeah,
do.
we collect a lot of things that are new. We work with our association to try to get legislation that creates some fees that you all don't know is coming. But in the end, we're able to give excess fees back to the county. None of our money like that is passed through. We earn that money.
Yeah, well, and we very much appreciate that. Mr. Knowles, I don't see any further lights. Let me just make one last comment. That dare I say that you've got to have one of the best run offices in all of county government, and you've got an absolutely exquisite staff. I'm a little partial because I see them every Wednesday and I don't get to see the staff of, all the other offices in the county. But they do an absolutely outstanding job for the county, and I very much appreciate your leadership over there, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. And you see Jennifer and Brooke up here. They're two of our best, but we've got 53 others back in other offices in the branch and so forth, carrying on with this the large crowds that we have. And we do have crowds.
Oh, I know you do. I've seen them lined up when I leave. So,
Think what it would have been without the branch and without the internet and without the mail that we all.
yeah, well, let us know if we can help you in expanding that out to Ottawa. I would imagine that would be a huge help, both for your office and the citizens not having to come all the way down here and fight traffic and a place to park. I'm sure we'd be very interested in seeing if there's a way we can help you with that.
And I've been interested in the news reports about the $5 sticker that the city is talking about. Of course, I have a contract with them to handle that, and we try to ask everybody that renews personally, and even on the internet, there's a question whether or not they want a $5 sticker. But it's sort of comical in a way, the ones that are standing before us and you ask them if they want a $5 sticker. Some of them don't know what it is and don't know if they're really subject to it. So one of the questions we ask them, well, who picks up your garbage? So if the city of Chattanooga picks it up, they need a $5
Need a sticker. That's a good way to do it. Mr. Knowles, I think we had a few late lights here, sir.
Okay.
Commissioner Shipley.
I got a good spot inside Daisy to put you a satellite office when you want to come up there.
Will it cost us anything?
I tell you what, you put one, no, I could probably work that out. I've still got a little pool up there.
Well,
Thank you, Bill.
we're wanting to deliver better services all the time, and that's what we're trying to do.
For
Sometimes
sure.
have to take a baby step to see if things work out, justify the expense from our earmarked funds.
Commissioner Highlander, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Just briefly, Mr. Knowles, I want to thank you and all your staff for the wonderful job you do. And I would love to see that kiosk in Ooltewah area. That would save a lot of people. I mean, some from Birchwood, it's still 20 miles to Ooltewah, but it's another 15 or 20 downtown. So that would be,
That's the next one that I've sort of
well,
pinpointed and
I'd
we're
appreciate it. But more than that, I appreciate you and your staff and the great job you do.
Well, we appreciate Jennifer and Brooke especially, and Jennifer fleshes out the minutes and Brooke looks at them and I look at them, we make changes and we get them into the people on time that have to do their thing.
All right, we have no further lights. Mr. Knowles, thank you very much.
Thank
Brooke,
you for
Jennifer,
your
as
kindness
always.
and
Thank you both.
courtesy, and thank you for your support.
100%. Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to move to juvenile court judge. Mr. Merce.
Sam Myers, Juvenile Court. Commissioners, we've asked for a few things, a few increases in the budget this year, and I'd kind of like to hit on each one of them, if I may, before I delve into the general questions. Last year, we recall we dealt with some salary issues for the staff, and we were able to get that pretty well taken care of. This year, I've asked for some promotion money specifically to deal with the juvenile court magistrates. It is important to note that juvenile court magistrates have the same duties and the same responsibilities as any presiding judge, yet they are the lowest paid attorneys in the county. And that needs to be dealt with. Judge Filial has decided that it is probably best to try and take little bites at this to create the situation rather than dump a massive request. So at this point in 10-10-610, I've asked for $20,000 for magistrate promotions. And in 630, I've asked for $15,000 in magistrate raises. That basically works out to about $5,000 per row to try and get them up. But as again, it is important to note that they are the lowest paid attorneys in the county, and they have the responsibilities of the judge. I have also asked for $27,859 to purchase 20 computers for the court. As you know, the county has a 5-year policy or recommendation, more likely, to replace computers, and we have not really been able to do that for quite some time. I have computers that are 7 and 8 years old, and in which case IT is telling me that they can no longer provide support for them because the software is so out of date. We've also asked for $95,000 for audiovisual upgrades for the 6 courtrooms. As you recall, I recently came before you for the juvenile court judges room. We have decided that we don't quite need that much, but we do need increased audiovisual capabilities to deal with webcasts, video hearings, and as technology rolls along, the attorneys come in with all kinds of new computers and hookups and all that kind of stuff. I've also asked for $10,000 for promotion for the detention unit staff. The salaries have done very well, but I need to be able to keep them. And just for the county information, the state is now offering $64,000 for correction officers. So we have to be able to kind of entice our good ones to stay. And that, other than requesting 3 positions in the detention unit, that is the lion's share of the increases that I've asked for. And I would be happy to deal with any questions you have on the remainder of the budget.
Commissioner Mackey?
Thank you, Chair. Can you explain the need for the 3 positions?
Back in the time when this budget was created, we were continuing to have shortages with staffing and so forth. And right now, the unit is being run by basically overtime. And it is my hope and desire that we be able to increase that. The kids that we're dealing with these days are massive. They're big and in a lot of cases mean and very dangerous. And in some shifts, as it stands right now, you may have 10 to 15 kids with 2 staff members to control them. It's a dangerous environment. I wish that I could get them, but I know that was kind of a pie in the sky ask, and I felt that it was my responsibility to request that, knowing it probably wouldn't happen, but I needed to do so.
I've got to say, Sam, this is a tight budget year.
I understand.
It'd be hard for me to support those new positions.
I agree. I understand.
Thank you.
Commissioner Highlander?
Thank you, Sam. I concur with what Dr. Mackey said. We appreciate the job you do. You do a great job there at juvenile court, but it is difficult to go with increases on budget year. On a personal note, I've heard a rumor that you are about to graduate. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I'm up for parole.
Well, congratulations. We appreciate you on that. Thank you.
Good. Mr. Mars, I've got a follow-up. I don't see no further lights, but in looking at the spreadsheet, and you may not be looking at exactly what I am, I was hoping we'd have that reconciled for this budget session because we often up here end up with different paperwork than the people are presenting. But I'm looking at a year to date on salary specifically, and it's 2.3 million. That's through the end of March. The actual budget was almost 3.2, so about 900,000. I expect that you don't think that you can spend that in just a couple of months, but maybe you can. So did you have positions that you will not actually have filled from last year's budget?
Yes, part of the way that we were able to work out a lot of the raises that we were able to give our staff last year was agreeing to pay for them this budget year by holding those open positions. Come July 1st, we need them and we will fill them.
Okay, so you repurpose the positions, but now you're at a point that you plan
Yes,
on
sir.
filling them. I just want to make sure when we're
Yes,
talking
sir.
about new positions, these are positions that had been previously budgeted.
Correct.
The funds were used elsewhere.
Correct.
Now those funds need to be recouped in order to actually continue to fund those open positions. Okay, I gotcha. That
Wait,
was-
can I follow that?
Commissioner Baker.
If they were budgeted last year, why weren't they filled last year?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
If they
hear
were
you.
budgeted last year, why weren't they filled last year?
Because we had to pay for those raises by holding those positions open. In other words, we received some money from the county commission, but we needed more. And we were given some latitude to make that happen if we could pay for it ourselves. And that is what we elected to do because the need was so great.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems like a shell game.
It's not a show game, Commissioner. It was.
Well, I'm saying you budgeted a person, you didn't fill the person, you just used the money to give raises. That's not the same thing. Correct.
It is correct, but as I said, the need was so great and it was
I
a
get
tough
that.
budget year
Well,
last year as well.
Yeah.
We had to do something and we were, given some latitude to come up with some creative solutions. Yes, it is kicking
Yeah.
the can down the road. But
Yeah, I guess that's my point. That's the old
Yes.
Dr. Mackey point. Who gave the latitude on that?
We worked with finance, we worked with the mayor's office on that.
I just think it'd be clearer to do a salary increase and not, do positions then, but, oh, we're not going to use it. I mean, I know the sheriff got creative before and he purposely,
That's
had a
what we did.
focused plan that we all knew about and he did a great job with it. So I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me when you said it. Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. That was kind of the point that I wanted to make is that when we did that with the sheriff's office, and I think we were all in agreement that it was a good thing to do, but it came in the form of a resolution, if I'm not mistaken, and we voted on it. And Sam, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
I
here.
understand. It's
I understand.
fine.
You're doing a job, but what I'm talking about is, again, this feels like a unilateral decision that's being made on behalf of the commission without us knowing about it. And that's frustrating to me, as I've stated, obviously. Thank you, Chairman.
If I may, Commissioner, that information came to us after the passing of the budget. And we learned about the raises elsewhere after the passing of the budget. It was an emergency, in my opinion, and we acted as quickly as we could within the confines. Now, is it perfect or is that the way it should be done? Probably not.
I think that's the question is, should this require a budget amendment or, and have that deliberation here for this body, the funding body? How are we funding county government and who's making those decisions? Is it coming through this board or is it being done unilaterally? And Sam, again, I don't fault you at all. You're doing your job, doing a good job. You're good. I appreciate you bringing it to us and you're standing here like incredibly humbly and I appreciate that. If there's frustration, it's not directed at you.
I understand, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Graham, sir?
Sam, first of all, congratulations on your parole. And I've worked with you now for, well, on and off, but I've worked for you now for 15 years and I greatly appreciate being able to work with you and our friendship and our trust with one another. To reiterate on last year, I understand what happened. We were creatively financed with the revenues that were already there to help the sheriff's department, to help other departments, and you were in a situation where you had deputies that were not being treated the same. And so this had to take care of that. And so now, and you actually took a loss because it helped those officers, but you lost those positions. So that's why you're asking for them now. I don't know what this budget cycle is going to look like just yet with the increases that you're asking for, but you do a yeoman's job with a little bit of money. And it doesn't go unnoticed with me anyway, but even the magistrates, your magistrates don't make what our magistrates make. Your officers don't make what the sheriff's officers make. So and you have a very, very tough task and in a building and in which we're coming with some relief for the building, but with a situation that should have been addressed a long time ago. So thank you for your creative finance and thank you for thinking out of the box. Thank you for getting it done. I look forward to seeing what we can give you for this coming budget cycle, and I truly believe that you need those extra positions as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mackey?
Thank you, Chair. Part of my question has to do with what the previous commissioner spoke about. Does anybody know what the dollar amount of this budget will call for? When it's all said and done.
Specifically for this division, sir?
No, for the county government.
We'll find that out on Friday.
How can we make solid decisions not knowing what we have available? Huh? How do we say to this man, we can help him or not help him? Weird. Is this backwards or what?
These are all valid questions I believe we've asked a number of times, sir.
Gotta ask it a hard way.
So we don't approve the budget until we're fine with it. So when we get the budget,
You know,
can-
Chairman,
we
we're
can
gonna
do with it
spend
at
over
that
$1
time.
billion. How do we know what we can do?
that's what we're gonna find out when we get the budget.
Can I put the finance person on the spot?
Sure.
Mr. Browner, you helped put the budget together.
Yes, sir.
You've heard what I've asked these men. Can you answer that? How can they know what to do if we don't know what we're working with?
I guess I would respectfully say, right now, they're just coming with, these are the requests, these are their needs, and you do not need to make a decision today anyway. And you can't do it until you know how much revenue we've got, similar to we can't figure out how to fit all the pieces in the puzzle until we've got revenues figured out, how much money's going to be available, because I agree with Sam's statement that he needs those funds. It's just a matter, and that happens with every department I meet with. There are a lot of valid needs, and again, the mayor will, with our help, will puts these numbers together with the best information he's got, and y'all will see that on Friday.
You know, Mr. Browner, we are piecemealing this thing. We are listening to over $1 billion worth of requests. And the way I do it, I process it and say, what's more important? But then in the absence of knowing the big picture, can make a real good decision.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. And again, on Friday, we'll be giving you what we think is the big picture and what the budget is. And on Monday will be a presentation where you'll be able to kind of get some of those pieces together, and then you'll have 3 weeks to deliberate. And maybe even more than that. It might be 4 weeks before you have to actually vote to approve the budget.
Mr. Browner, thank you. So Commissioner Mackey, let me back this up for just a minute. Had they provided the budget to us 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then we had these hearings, we would have similar information. We just have a little bit better standing. But ultimately, I could have scheduled these hearings after we received the budget and know what was being proposed by the administration, but then it doesn't give us enough time. So I think ultimately, what we would all desire is we'd love to see the budget sooner. Unfortunately, it's literally a year-long process to put it together. So if we can continue to work together and get it sooner and sooner, which we are getting it sooner, if I'm not mistaken, than we had been in past years, or at least we're trying to get to that point. What you've got in your backup paperwork is what is being requested, what was received before, what the actuals were, and what it will be in the budget we receive on Friday as proposed. We have that for each one of these people that is presenting. We don't have the final number of the budget, but we do have what impact this will have on that final budget with each one of these presenters in the backup paperwork.
Right.
So we're doing our best to review each one individually. Then when we get the budget, that's when we have our time to debate it and decide that as these organizations, whether they're departments or whether they're supported agencies, have presented to us, if we don't like what's being proposed in that budget, we have the opportunity at that time to deal with it.
Mr. Chairman, my last statement, you know, for me, the school is going to be the most important thing.
Yep.
And it's against that backdrop that we make decisions for these other groups. Anyway, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Chairman, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a general comment, because I agree. We can get these budgets a week or two sooner, I think, if we continue to try harder. And I know Sheila's kind of, she's kind of the kingpin in, she's giving me the eye there, but love you, Sheila. But here's what we've got to do. We've got to be in a position, because here's where we're at. We're getting a budget Friday, and then Monday, we get the mayor's budget, right? So that gives us 3 days, and it's a weekend, to review a budget, which should really be everything, right? Everything in the county.
It will include schools also. Yes, sir.
So we got 3 days to digest. Then we leave Monday afternoon for this conference. Conference, put that aside, because that's things that I think really none of us can control, because that's what we have to do. We've got to put ourselves in a better position, because I think Commissioner Mackey's hitting on something that there's two things I'm taking from what he's saying. We've got to put ourselves in a position where we look at the total budget sooner in the future. If it's a week sooner next year, I mean, that would be awesome. We can't do anything with this year, but it put us in a better position. Second thing is, I think, and I really get this from Commissioner Mackey as well, he brings up a really good point, is how do we know that the dollars have been spent where they should be spent? And this is, I took this from what Sam just said a while ago. I think for this body, it's important that if we approve a budget, and that budget says that X dollars are getting spent in X account, then it needs to be spent in X account. It doesn't need to be shifted to another account to make up for, or to do something else that comes up, unless it comes back from this body. So maybe we can deliberate here because we're in the public, but maybe we need to look at, as far as a resolution in the future that says, you know what, budget's a budget. Any movement of money has to come back from this body and be approved if we move money from an account. Maybe we need to do that, but I don't know. To me, especially these tough years when we're talking how pennies matter, we've got a lot of communities around us that are having tax increases. We're working diligently, you guys are too, to make sure that we don't put the county in that position either. But in order to do that, we've got to make sure we have the data, and that data needs to be reality. It needs to flow like we say it's going to flow. I've heard somebody say in the past, we put things in a budget and we hide it, knowing we're going to spend it later for something else. Hopefully we don't do that. And, but Commissioner Mackey has asked me time and time again, how do we know that doesn't happen? Well, there is one way. If you approve a budget that says you get X amount of dollars in an account, that's all you get, and you have to spend it. You can't move it to another account. That's the way you check it. So.
Commissioner Shipley?
Well, while y'all are gone, I'll be here so I can take all this money up to District 1.
Come on, man. Come.
Sam is always conservative in our meetings back here. So the question I have, you're talking about 3 people. For safety purposes, you explain they're bigger and more violent. You have to deal with more. I understand that. Scale from 0 to 10. What do you think the danger in something happening over there without the new people?
Without the additional people, I'd just be speculating, and I'll take a conservative number and say 5, 6.
Right. Thanks, Sam.
But the numbers there can be misleading. For example, I have a detention officer now that has been on OJI for 9 months, and he was on the job for 1 week. you know, and the cost of that is astronomical. I don't make these requests lightly. I am a conservative by nature. As a matter of fact, I get called all kinds of particularly nasty names because of it, but that's my job and I take it seriously. I don't always get to make the best decisions based on the operations and parameters and the people I have to answer to, but I don't ask and have never asked. If you look at my operating budget, it has not increased in my tenure here. Those line items have not increased. I've moved things around as I needed to, but I have not asked for much. And I accept part of the responsibility for being the mess that we're in because I have not asked. So I apologize for that, but it is what it is.
Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, isn't the city calendar same fiscal year as
Same.
us? And they're finished with their budget, right?
No, they're still, it's about the same time.
I thought they were done with it. I thought they read words.
It's pretty close as far as when they get it and review it and approve it.
And I know we gotta wait, what we gotta do is we got a timeline, when we get this county budget, boom, we ought to be ready to go, the county school budget. Sam, I was a little rougher on you than because I was trying to understand.
That's my job,
Now-
no problem.
Now, I understand you did what you were directed to do to get what you needed, and that's your job. You got to do. And I would just say, if we do something like that, and I'm all for whatever's budgeted, it stays where it's budgeted. But if we need to do something creative, like the sheriff did, he came to us with a plan. It made sense, and so, but we were aware of it. It's kind of like Commissioner Sharp said this morning, or no, I guess it was Chairman, or both, said, we'd like to approve something before it's publicly announced, instead of publicly announced, then we do it. You got to go with what you got to do to take care of your business. And I get it. I just think we've got to be, and I know if somebody's in a budget and they stay within that budget, but they bounce around, they don't have to come to us. But they should. I mean, that's what budgets are for. Budgets are, it's based on our best history, experience, and guess for the next year. And we should do that. But if we have to, it ought to come to us to say why we're going outside the budget, why we're being creative. No problem with creativity. I think it's wonderful. But accountability, transparency, just let us know. Okay. Anyway, my apologies. Congratulations on your career. Thank you.
All right, I see no further line. Mr. Morris, so you see why I asked the question. It is not specific to your needs. We're dealing with this in a number of different departments. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sheriff, sir, you are up. I don't know if you want to sacrifice Ron or take this yourself.
I'll start and then I'll hand off to him when he gets to the hard stuff.
Okay.
I'd like to begin by acknowledging and thanking this body. The support that this body gives my office is incredible. Anytime I come in front of the commission, they overwhelmingly support us, whether we're being creative with staffing, we're purchasing new equipment, using grants or county taxpayer dollars. I've yet to come in front of this body that they haven't supported us. And I think at budget hearings, it's incredibly important for me to recognize that, as well as the county mayor's office and the mayor's staff support us the same way. We cannot serve the people of this county without this body providing the funding, and the mayor's office and county finance working with us as recent as Monday. We were in their office working with them diligently because we do know that this is a tough year and we're going to do our part. We've been doing our part since 2022 when I took the oath of office to serve as the sheriff of this county. The first thing we came to this body with was a creative process that my chief of staff designed for me in order to hire people to work in the jail, work in our schools, and answer calls on the road. And we call that freezing positions. First position I froze was my chief deputy. And that's very unusual in an organization to freeze the number 2 position, the second highest paid position in the organization. Typically, people sacrifice at the bottom. You can't do that and lead people. I froze that position on purpose. I could have filled it. I chose not to send a message to the men and women of this agency to show this body my commitment, what we were trying to do. I did not come back to this body and ask for the funding to appoint my chief deputy, which I did last year. I was comfortable where we were at and committed that I would hire and be comfortable with the number of positions within corrections and law enforcement before I did that. To prove that point, we were over 60 vacant positions in corrections. Today, we're at 11. 20 plus frozen. And I can tell this body today that you will not see me back in front of you this year or in the future, in my opinion, asking for the money to, I'll use the term, thaw out those positions. My chief of staff and the leadership in my office have found ways to fund that because we look at our personnel staffing at a very fluid manner. We evaluate the need for positions, and I'll give you an example, a law enforcement clerk. Those positions do a certain job, and they were created and funded by previous commissions. I made the decision with my leadership team going forward that we're going to convert positions. No one's losing their jobs, but they're vacant and have been. So it's a responsible thing for me to do to convert those 2 deputy positions. That's an example of how we will get there without this body having the burden to make that decision and give me additional funding. Other ways we're doing this. I presently have people who are doing certain tasks that's already been done by another office, such as Larry Henry's office. We've met with that office. It's going to cost $12,000 to ensure that the software they're using and our software communicates, allowing me to move that one of those positions to a more critical role in records. We're in the final processes of converting from paper citations to electronic. I have an employee who all they do is enter citations. I'll be able to move that employee to another position. So I think it's important that you see that since the day we took office, we've been doing this efficiency process, and that will remain as long as I serve this county. Now, we were asking for $1.8 million increase in this budget. None of that is positions. And I started off by telling you, I know this is a tight year. As recently as Monday, as I said earlier, we were in the mayor's office with county finance working on this. And I feel very confident that what comes out of the mayor's office, county finance, and comes in front of this body, we will be able to work with. Very confident of that. I'm glad to take any questions. And if you want to go over those specific numbers, my chief of staff is here to answer those as far as the 1.8. I can tell you those are due to rising costs with software maintenance, vehicle replacement parts, healthcare, and pharmacy costs inside the jail. Kind of to sum that up as far as that $1.8 million. But as I said, we will be able to work within what we have already discussed and what you get presented.
So Sheriff, let me kick this off, and thank you for saying that, because that was going to be the first thing that I stated, is that the costs, when on a cursory look at it, it was software, it was the types of things that go up in cost that are for the most part uncontrollable, especially when it comes to healthcare.
Yes, sir.
And especially in a situation like yours where you're dealing with the detention center and healthcare and costs and pharmaceutical. So some of that I totally understood couldn't be controlled, and thank you. But before we get away, you got called out a number of times in the last session, and you started this off talking about the support that you have from this commission. And I hope that I'm speaking for all of us when I say this. The reason that you have that support is because of the level of transparency and communication that you have with this body.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for that. And you will always have our support because you go out of your way to provide additional communication, always here, always transparent with us. about what's going on, and it is very, very much appreciated. And clearly, the commissioners up here identify that and value it, or you wouldn't constantly be brought up as a model for others to hopefully follow. So I was for the most part comfortable with a lot of the increases. I did talk to Mr. Browner about them, and I understood where they were coming from. But I felt like it was also important for you to be able to come here and be able to express that to this body as well.
Yes, sir.
I still hope there's some hard questions for Mr. Bernard over there, but at that, I think I've given enough time for a few lights. But Sheriff, I just want to say, for me personally, thank you. Thank you for all that you do, not just for our community, but for this body and allowing us to have the level of confidence and to provide the funding and the support that you need to do your job.
Yes,
I
sir.
very much appreciate
I
that.
appreciate that. And we pride ourselves on transparency. And I use the term, I would never make decisions in a silo, in 22 when I came before this body. And we've stayed true to that. And we're that way with this body. We're that way with the people of this county. And it's my leadership team. It's my chief of staff. It's my chief deputy. It's my captains, my deputies. They're doing the hard work every day. I get to come up here and represent them. So I appreciate the kind words.
Well, leadership is an action. It is not a position. And I appreciate the fact that you exemplify that. Commissioner Mackey.
Chair, you hit the nail on the head, and I know that you speak for all of us when you share the openness, the transparency, the communication that we don't get from other departments of county government. And I think that's a huge part of his success in getting what they need. My other statement is in regards to leadership, the sheriff did something that the superintendent didn't do. He sacrificed that chief of staff position. And then when the mayor, excuse me, not the mayor, but when the superintendent get a, what, $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 raise before any of the teachers, you set a good standard for everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Highlander.
I probably shouldn't say anything because you gentlemen hit pretty much what I was going to, but you have set the bar really high for others to try. And if you were a high jumper, you'd go about 14 feet, at least right now.
That's pretty
So
high.
some of the others need to try and set that bar and try to jump that high too. Ron, thank you for being his backup. And I cannot tell you how much I personally appreciate the transparency and the openness that you've given us and the willingness to come to us and work with us. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much, both of you, your whole team. Thank you.
Commissioner Beck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say something a little different because I've come through the sheriff department and I've been a part of law enforcement for a long time. And Sheriff, and if I can be a little personal, above and beyond all of the good stuff that I've heard up here today, I see you as a different kind of sheriff, from a different one than we've ever had up here before. I mean, going way, way back. And so I feel that you're a person who has passion for this department. And because of that passion and being a part of not politics, but law enforcement yourself, you had a feel for what the officers are going through. And when I came here, we were making $16,000 a year. We rose up to around 20,000. So we were unable to retain the kind of quality law enforcement that we needed to keep up here. And especially, I came through also the corrections department, and I've seen improvements in the way you've handled improving our corrections department, making us a top-notch department above and beyond most of what I've seen in the counties around. So thank you so much. I can't say anything higher than what I've heard up here, but I do want to commend you for the passion you've shown for the men and for making this a top-notch department. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Commissioner Baker.
Well, unlike Commissioner Highlander, I see you not as a high jumper, but a pole vaulter. jumping and leaping the highest buildings.
Showing a lot of confidence.
No, I just want to thank you. Everything that's been set up here, the quality of person you are, you've heard me tell you 1,000 times, you could do anything, any political job anywhere because you're that quality of a person. And you said, I love what I do. And I said, that speaks volumes. You guys, I think you know how lucky you are to have somebody like him at the helm, and he's lucky to have you too. So but the real hero here is Ron. We know who did the numbers. Ron, good job. You guys make a great team, all of y'all. And I just wanted to thank you for that. You can do anything.
Commissioner Sharp?
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate your comments. Leadership's about what you do, right? Not what you say. The sheriff and I don't always agree on political matters, but
Not supposed to.
that's right. I don't agree with my wife on everything, right?
That you're supposed to do.
Well, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Just trying to help you.
Fair enough. I think everybody in here in this room knows I'm a little bullheaded from time to time.
No.
Certainly not. But I will say, operationally, you've done a wonderful job. Perfect. A good friend of ours, I learned under running operations. And back, years ago when the economy turned south, we couldn't get pay raises. Nobody got a pay raise. But we were working harder, right? We over leveraged in a certain way. But leadership then, those at the top, not only they not get a pay raise, they took pay cuts. And that really set the bar for me as a leader. That's putting your money where your mouth is. And Sheriff, I believe you've done that. Now, enough with the accolades. We've gone through all these conversations, not that you don't deserve them, but what are you asking for here? Could you reiterate that?
In total, we were seeking 1.8 million additional.
Okay.
In working with county finance, we're going to basically trim that to what they need us to trim that to make it work. And again, to reiterate what the sheriff said, it's medical costs, it's vehicle parts, it's maintenance out at the jail, all the increasing costs there. That's kind of what's driving it, and the software maintenance. Now, the software maintenance number, even though it shows $1 million, we went through, my team, including all leadership, went through every line item in our budget, and we actually, where we could move money into that, we moved money. So that $1 million is actually not a true million, because we consolidated funds from other orgs, but we went through and scrubbed every line item to get there.
That's great. So there's this, but there's no salary bumps in this budget.
No, it just represents, there's no maintenance, no additional positions. It's just, we're working with the positions that we have in total.
All right. Well, I appreciate you presenting here for us and answering my questions. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Chairman.
You got it. I know the chairman has a question as well, but hey, Ron, real quick. Commissioner Sharp asked, for clarification on these items, and you reiterated what the sheriff had said on the 1.8 million. Remind us what your total budget is.
Where is it on here?
It's depending on which document you're looking at. It's the summary. I mean, I can tell you it wasn't meant to be a trick question. I was just trying to make a point.
It's
68.
285.
Looks like your proposed, well, what ends up being proposed was equal to your requested, which was 70 million. So when we hear 1.8, obviously that's a large number, especially depending on the size department. In your case, it's 1.8 million out of 70 million.
Correct.
So percentage wise, while it is a significant amount of money, I think it is probably reasonable for the needs of this department size. And I just wanted to make sure that was clear, that you've got a very large budget and you're working tightly within those means.
Correction, Mr. Finance Chair, it's the office of the sheriff, not the department. See, I'm trainable. I'm trainable.
Apparently, I still need a little while. Chairman, do you have a?
Yeah, I just got a quick question. Ron, you said that you worked with county finance and finance said, no, you can't have that much, and it goes back to another amount. The numbers, was that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So
I've
to
got,
fit it into, you know, what they're presenting.
Okay.
It changed.
Okay. Guess I'm confused because I thought the ones that could say no was this body. I thought we were the approver of the budgets, because if we're not, then we're dismissed. We can go home. So
Well, again,
again,
historically, what our office has done is accumulate every department's, and in this case, the sheriff's budget, accumulate those, look at them in relation to the revenues we've got. Now, in the perfect world, we say, sure, but in this case, I'd have to go back and look, there's probably about $60 million at least that we had to trim from requests to equal the amount of revenue available. So that is what historically has been the purpose of, or finance's function during the budget process, is review requests, get with the mayor's office, see what we can afford, and make recommendations to the commission of this is the mayor's recommendation of the best way to spend the county funds. At the end of the day, absolutely, it's your decision. This will be your budget. So if you do not agree with the mayor's,
we don't know.
Right.
That's the thing, is we don't know what the sheriff's office originally asked for. And that's what confuses me. If we don't know what they originally submitted, and if there's a genuine need, how do we make sure that we're not shorting one and then we've got one that really needs to be shorted? How does this body know that? We just trust that you're going to do that?
Chairman, maybe, I'm sorry.
And this has nothing to do with just you guys, but I'm just saying as a whole, because it's, I think you guys look at a lot of numbers, and I trust you and your team on those numbers. I trust the mayor on his numbers, but I think this body also needs to be aware of what each one's asking for.
Sure.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. And but to me, it would, if this body's going to approve, I think this body needs to see what.
and it is in the budget package that you will be getting on Friday, you will see 5 years history of actuals. You'll see the prior year's budget, the prior year's amended budget, this year's proposed, the recommended adjustments from finance / the mayor's office, and this year's recommended budget. So
Okay.
you will have a column seeing every dollar that got adjusted from the budget.
Okay, perfect.
Did you turn the lights up?
Oh, that's why. Jeez.
We were trying to cut the meeting short, gentlemen. Sorry, just turn the lights off. Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, Sheila, I don't see, I'm looking through here, kind of what we were just talking about, looking for a totals page, the totals, like, when they said it was 70, what million, 71 million?
Almost.
Pardon? Yeah. Summary?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
It's page 4.
page 4?
Page 4.
Got it, thank you.
Commissioner Highland, do you have a question, sir?
Well, basically, mine's the same question, but probably mine's lack of IT background, not being able to find it here. I was looking to see, and I did want to ask Lee, if I may, Chairman, will we see both what the mayor and what you and the mayor recommend and what they request? Will we see both of those
Yeah, it's in there. It's in there right now.
Okay, I just
Well,
hadn't found it yet. Okay, thank you.
Well, actually, just to clarify, what you're seeing right now is just their request. But yes, on Friday, in the package you will be getting, will be showing, there will be a column for the request, a column for the cuts, a column for the proposed by the mayor.
Good,
Yeah.
that's what I was wondering. I wanted to see those. the
I'm seeing that on
requests
the
side by
document I
side
have.
with the recommendation. Yeah, so we will see the request side by side with the recommendation on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Hope I
mean-
didn't confuse somebody a minute ago.
No, sorry, Sheriff. It's just one of the, this is really us just trying to get our legs under us. Sorry that you're the
Right.
one there at the podium. But yeah, I'm seeing both, Lee. I'm seeing requested adjustments proposed and changes right now. So we should be able, yeah.
Okay.
We should be able to see that gentleman on the backup paperwork. Drop another line.
And that
Commissioner
goes to what and that goes to what I meant about we were working with. We're doing our part. We know they've got one of the toughest jobs along with this body in county government's finance because they're having to help everybody and this body's got to approve it. That's what I was lending to about meeting with and not working in a silo, just submitting something and expecting it. We
Understood.
know it's tough decisions.
Understood. Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm listening to all the discussion, and I think it's great that we're having this open discussion and we're all going at it. But I want to emphasize on the fact that our finance team has worked their tails off, and that was cleaning it up, have worked their tails off, taking all these requests and all these departments, and then sitting down with each individual department time and time and time again throughout the last several months, putting this all together, knowing where we have revenue, where we don't have revenue, what we can do, what we can't do. They total all that up for us. They negotiate it down with those department heads, like the sheriff as an example. They negotiate and they get everything worked out the best they can so the mayor can propose the budget to us. But then we have 4 weeks. Okay, so almost 6
We got
weeks.
about 5 weeks. Yeah.
So almost 6 weeks to be able to take what they've narrowed down for us and all the hard work that they've done for us. So we're not having to meet with each individual department time and time and time again and work the nuts and the bolts out. And then we get basically this giant summary from the finance department, but very thorough, very pinpointed summary. Then we have 4 or 5 weeks to decide as a body how we're going to do what and who we're going to do for what for. And ultimately, like Lee said, it's our decision to make because we are the financial body. So I think we're all saying the same thing, but a lot of the questions that are being asked here today, in all due respect, are like we haven't done this before. And we didn't get to a AAA triple bond rating by accident. And the actions that we've been doing and we're doing for years is how we got there and how we're able to keep it, even after that big bond we did for the schools. So for myself, Lee and Vonda and your staffs, I mean, I thank you for all the hard work you're doing on our behalf. And thank you for all the things that you all are doing to make not only it easier for us to make these decisions, but making it very clear so we can see where and what and how to fund this county and keep our financial standing the way we are. So I truly appreciate all the hard work, and that may not be shown in these budget hearings, but I truly appreciate the hard work that you all have done. And Sheriff, I appreciate you and all the other department heads coming up here and making your requests public. I mean, you deserve to be heard to be able to speak to our body anyway. So ultimately, once we've heard from all the departments, we still have plenty of time to make these decisions. So, and thank you. I know everybody else is saying your accolades. The only thing I don't like is I don't want your barber.
It's catching on.
But
Are you good,
I
sir?
do appreciate what you're doing. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Mackey, is your light on, sir? I think.
It is, Chair. Chair, it's easy to pass out accolades, but we also have to do our job. And my relationship with this finance man is getting better. I went to him and for 18 years been able to get whatever information I wanted. And I go to him and he said, he can't talk to me. Why you shake your head?
Gentlemen, this is not the time to go
That's
back
not
and
the
forth
time to
between
go back and
commissioners.
forth with that.
This is,
We're getting better, but I'm gonna tell the truth. It's easy to say, good job. He's doing his job. We're getting better. But if he tells me he can't talk to me, I got a problem. I can't do my job. Thank you, Chair.
But Sheriff, I have no more lights. My final comment is, I think Lee was starting to get a little nervous about the accolades because he still has to manage the money over there. So just a final thank you for actually being diligent, knowing that this body supports you and would support your requests and still working at ways to make sure that you keep it tight and trim. We truly do appreciate that work. And Lee, all of this up here, you know, we can't do this without you guys. You and Vaughn, we can't do this without you. So this is the final hearing committee. Thank you for everybody that's been here. Thank you to my colleagues up here that have stayed and gone through these hearings, asked great questions. Lee, you're in your office. Thank you. Seriously, this cannot happen without you. I don't want to try to make this budget from scratch. Sheila, yeah, well, I'm surprised anybody called you out in here without terror and being afraid of it. So thank you for your support. I mean, you're even up here helping Baker use technology. So that should be hazard pay in my opinion.
No, I showered today.
Yeah, he even had to turn on his iPad, probably the first time in a year. But thank you so much for all of your hard work putting this together. Truly do appreciate it. Looking forward to Friday and getting it. Good luck to those of you that don't know how to open it when you get it, but I'll be looking forward to getting it and reading it with everything I can. I know. Sheriff, thank you. Ron, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. As always, deputies, we appreciate all of you as well. Brooke, thank you.
I'll get in
Jennifer,
touch with you.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.